A city on a hill cannot hide. When you light your lamp, you don't hide the light, but you put it on a lampstand for everyone to see. Jesus is saying, hey, everyone's watching you. Everyone's waiting to hear what you will say. And I will give you the message. And it's such good news that you will shout it from the mountaintops. And in Isaiah today, we hear good news. Although with all those names in there and all that skipping around, I think it gets a little confusing. Does anybody think you could summarize the story for me real quick? I didn't think so. I'm really grateful to my friend Terry Peterson, who retold this story in plain English. So here are the basics that we need to know. This takes place in the time period of the kings. And it's a historical event. It takes place in 701 BC. And what's happening is that for the past 20 years, the Assyrians have been taking over. They have won every battle. They have taken every city around them. They've removed all the people. And if you remember, I think it was last week or the week before, Pastor Paul mentioned that there was a time period when Israel had two kings because they divided themselves, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. Well, as this story begins, the northern kingdom has been wiped out. It's gone. It no longer exists. And everyone in Jerusalem knows what has happened to their neighboring towns. And now the Assyrian army has them surrounded. And the field commander has come to deliver a message from the king of Assyria. And he starts by reciting all of Assyria's victories over the past 20 years. And then he says, I have a proposition for you. Here's an invitation. Give up now, and we'll make things easy. He says, don't believe what your king tells you. Look at what my king has done. Don't believe what your God tells you. Look at what my king has done. We know that our king is going to win, so we'll make you a deal. Surrender now. We won't attack you, and we'll make sure that you're well taken care of. You'll be rich. You'll have everything you need and more. Haven't we heard voices like that? They're seductive. They tell us all kinds of things we want to hear. They tell us that we too can have success and prosperity, that we will be protected, that we'll be safe, that we'll finally have enough, we'll finally be happy. These voices, they say, you can trust me. And these voices are all around us, and they are so loud, so much louder than the voice of God, because we know that God speaks to us in the stillness and the silence. But loud voices are easier to believe. And we hear these voices so often and so loudly that it becomes easy to believe. It becomes easy to trust. They start to make sense. And it starts to seem like it would be strange or even dangerous to wait for a silence when God might speak to us. I have this image in my mind of a marketplace, or maybe it's a mall on Black Friday. And it's full of vendors that are aggressively seeking our attention. So we hear shouts or we see bright, bold signs. Today only, while supplies last. Act now. Claim your prize. This world is full of voices that tell us there are limited resources. But if we act quickly, we can grab our share or more than our share of those resources before they run out. God's voice says, there's plenty for everyone. There's more than enough. The world says, this is your last chance. You will never have another opportunity like this. God's voice says, follow me. Did you get lost? Follow me. Did you go astray? Did you turn away from me? Return to me. But those voices, they come back and they say, it's too good to be true. You better save yourself. The world says there are winners and there are losers. God says one person's abundance does not have to mean scarcity for another. The world says there's a limited amount of power, and whoever has the most power gets to rule the world. And God says that's not how it works. But these voices, they are so persistent, and they nag, and they whisper, and they crawl inside our heads, even into our subconscious thoughts, until fear takes root and begins to grow in us. Or until someone breaks the cycle. And that's what King Hezekiah does in this text. King Hezekiah hears this story, and instead of relying on his own wisdom, he seeks the counsel of a prophet from Jerusalem named Isaiah. Hezekiah wants to hear what God has to say, and Isaiah reminds him that God tells a story not of fear, but of hope. You see, fear is a tactic used by those who embrace the powers of this world. The fear of scarcity. What if there's not enough for me? The fear of insignificance. Like, who am I? How does the world see me? What will people remember after I'm gone? Instead of fear, God invites us to trust in God's promises, to trust that we are here for a reason, that God has a purpose. God has a plan for the future. Don't let any fear have power over you. No matter what other voices are saying, no matter what rumors you hear or what people are saying, do not be afraid. Remember who you are. You are a child of God, made in God's image. You are loved. You are valued. God has chosen you and equipped you, and there is no earthly power that can change that. Thanks be to God.